So we are so pleased to welcome today my friend, one-time colleague, classmate, Eric Silver. Welcome.
Oh, that's right. You can't see me dancing.
Nope.
Because I'm in an audio
Your
platform.
own WWE entrance dance.
With the fake cheering in the background, of course.
And Julia, what are we drinking today?
Well, we're drinking beer.
We are.
We were going to drink, what were we going to drink? Go ahead.
The gross Passover wine?
We were going to drink Manischewitz, because why would we talk about Eastern Europe Jews without Manischewitz? But, of course, somehow I can't find it. So
yeah,
we're drinking...
it is not high holidays here in the Upper East Side, so there is no Manischewitz to be found.
That's
so
true.
We are drinking today Anderson Valley Briny Melon Goza, which was my choice. I got it from work. Super
Somewhat
good.
arbitrarily.
I mean, I like Goza. I always get Goza.
But there
That's
is
my
some
go-to.
metaphorical resonance.
Yeah,
Go
it's
for it.
salty, it's briny, and it's all we have, just like the Jews of Eastern Europe would have drank.
That's as good a segue as any
There's
other.
going to be a lot of this. Just like everyone should just like prep themselves.
We're going in.
Exactly. I'm going for the yeshiva crowd to bring them into your podcast.
We are so ready, and they are so welcome.
All right, so we're talking about the Golem of Prague. There are many golems over time that have been developed by random Jews that have needed them, but the most famous one is the Golem of Prague.
Okay, hold up.
Let's
We're going to
pause.
have you tell us what a golem is, because some of our listeners might not know.
Oh, of
Yes,
course.
so is the golem a genre, or is it like one figure that pops up across different, folklore traditions?
So the Golem itself is like a character who
Okay.
shows up. Golem itself is like a Hebrew word that means like change. And I will fact check that later and do that because I read it, but I totally forgot.
Listen, standards are low, we are drunk.
Exactly. I'm feeling real briny right now.
We'll fact check when we're dead or sober.
That's why this podcast is a thing. We're like, we have to do no preparation. We just have to sit here and talk about our myths.
Exactly. So it's like, so there's this idea, obviously, in Judeo-Christian creation that you can just make things out of the earth. And you say a thing, or you write a thing, you use words, and then it becomes a thing.
Right, Adam out of soil, Eve out of Adam's rib.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Golem
God
of...
breathed life into Adam and created
Yes.
him out of the earth.
and just as much as our Judeo-Christian God, he says, let there be light, and then there is light. He said, you use words to create a thing.
Yes.
So this is the same thing. There is this thing that you make out of mud, and you use the name of God, or you say a certain kind of words, because Jewish magicians, it's Kabbalah.
Sure.
Jewish magicians, they're crazy, so they're just like, let's
And
make
words
some
have
stuff.
real meaning. That's something
Exactly.
that I love about the Jewish tradition as well.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
Pretty wordsmithing.
Pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Pretty briny.
Exactly. That's why Billy Crystal can get all of those women in all of those romantic comedies.
Is that why?
The power of word. Oh, tell me if Meg Ryan is going to fall in love with him in Harry Met Sally.
Never. Amanda's never seen that movie. Let's just put it out there.
So you can make a golem out of a lot of different ways. So the first thing you do, you gotta take some mud and some dirt and you make it into a human form of some sort. Usually golems are huge because why would you not have a huge thing that
Why
you
would
can
you
tell
want
what
a
to
tiny
do?
While you're at it.
golem?
Make it
Exactly.
big.
You can have a tiny...
Go big or go home.
Exactly. You gotta go big or go home. And then you can do a bunch of things. So there are many ways to make a golem. All of them involve words. First of all, you can walk around it 7 times while saying God's secret name.
Okay.
Because God has a secret name, obviously.
Yeah.
Is it Yahweh or it's just like...
That's the shortening of the secret name.
There's
All
other
right.
ones.
Yes, but there's like the real one, and like some people know it, but it's like lost to time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because why would you have a name that wasn't lost
No,
to time?
if we had it now, we would have just destroyed ourselves.
Exactly.
There would just be golems just walking around all over the place.
Yeah, like levying taxes and doing that.
That would be horrible. You can write a word on the golem's head, which is emet, which means truth. But then in order to kill the golem, you erase the aleph so that it just becomes mem taf, which is like mats, which is dead. It means dead.
Huh.
Words. Kabbalah is really into words.
Truth to death. That's weird.
Exactly.
But that's very convenient, right? That you erase one letter and bam, you've, changed the meaning.
Exactly. You just like change it. And then like the numbers are different because you assign number values to Jewish letters. Mm-hmm. That's like a whole thing. Anyway, or you can write God's full name on a piece of paper and just like slap it on the golem.
Bam.
And then you can like, and you're like, I don't want this anymore. And you just like pull it off, and then he dies again.
It's almost like an on-off switch.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah. So golems are really interesting too because they can't speak. So the whole thing is that you say the words, but of course the golem doesn't have a soul, so he can't say things himself.
So
makes total sense.
My question is, because I'm going back to like my Judeo-Christian Genesis thing, is it that like in Kabbalah, in this like Jewish magician thing, they're kind of going off the we're created in God's image and like can do what God does, but from a lesser extent? So like we can't make humans.
Yeah, are these like priests? Are they, or whatever? Are they like rabbis and important people, or is it anyone can do a golem if they know how?
They're closer to rabbi. There are rabbis, but they're also like mystics. So like it's a lot on the words themselves. Like you can look at the words that are in the Torah and they mean certain things. That's why you ascribe numbers to them, you ascribe deeper meanings to them, and you can use them for magical ways.
You gotta like feel them. Like, in Harry Potter, a muggle could say a spell, but the spell won't work because they don't have like the magic in them and they don't like have that shit.
/ like you have to access the meaning behind the words. You have to learn, the Torah. You have to learn Hebrew. You have to learn, all the letters and numbers and things.
Exactly. You got to study it. And first of all, there was never any Hanukkah celebrations at Hogwarts. There were no. Just want to point that out.
Right?
So we're hanging out in Prague, right?
Prague.
And as things happen in Prague, this was around the time of like the pogroms, and tons of people don't like Jews.
Yep.
As you do. So
as you do,
unfortunately, as they all do.
Exactly, as they all do. This could be any place, which is why there are golems everywhere. But
so as a quick interstitial thing. So golems have been around for a long, long time in Judaism, but there are certain golems that have had like, lasting power in stories. Is that how it works?
Yeah, like they're like the most famous. I mean, when you can tie something back to a place where it's like exclusively Jewish towns, when they're like the rabbis with the capital letters.
Yeah.
And this guy has like a nickname, so he's a big deal. That's a big thing.
When
if
you
a rabbi
have a nickname in history, it's a big
exactly
fucking
cool
deal.
All right, so we got this rabbi. His name is Yehuda Lowell, but he is known as the Maharal of Prague.
Sounds magical.
It's very magical.
That sounds fancy
So
as shit.
he's super he's very fancy as a name.
He sounds like a character that they would put into Indiana Jones to make something sound foreign.
Exactly. That's Indiana Jones and the Golem of Prague.
That's perfect. I want to
Amazing.
watch that movie.
Why is that being made?
They are making Indiana Jones 5, so we could get there.
Make the sound effects.
Get in touch. We'll write that script for you, Steven Spielberg.
Rabbi, throw me the whip. All right, so about this time, it's like, depending on who's in power, like, everyone's a monarchy right now, even in Prague. So...
What century are we in?
I think it's the
Not to put you on the
14th
spot.
century.
Okay.
It's the 1500s, so we're
Cool.
right in the pogrom.
Right in
We're
that
like
printing press
We're
era.
like Black Death going into Renaissance in Eastern Europe.
Exactly,
kind of
but
thing.
we're
Okay.
definitely still in the Black Death. So, at this moment, the King Rudolph... Why do kings have horrible names? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
King Rudolph is friends with the Maharal, because the Maharal, he's very smart. He's hanging out in Prague.
Of course,
he's making
powerful.
Exactly. He's making
Chill as
everyone chill as fuck. Just like Jews, just like hang out. Like, it's fine. So, they're having a conversation. They're like kicking it on like somewhere in the palace,
yeah.
as you do. And the Maharal is like, hey, King Rudolph, you know this thing where all of your people think we kill babies and put it in our matzah?
Nope.
That's like the worst.
Not a thing.
That's the worst, like...
Oh, it's super a thing, because the blood. This is called the blood libel. The blood libel
no.
is literally the lie about blood.
Right.
Is that Jews, as they're super sneaky, go out, they steal Christian babies,
Why?
they kill them,
No.
they bloodlet them, and put them in their matzah.
Not a thing.
So this is like around Passover.
Where in the matzah would they put them?
It's
the matzah's
so
very
white.
flat.
It's
very
so
white
white.
and also flat.
I don't know, man.
They bleach the blood before putting it in the
no.
matzah.
No sneaky Jews
Not a thing.
bleaching blood.
Right, with magic and whatever.
Exactly. So, like, this thing has been around forever.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with, like, just kosher rituals and like you don't eat bread, so like matzah's weird when you're thinking about it. So it's like, how do you make this?
Because it's like the staple of Eastern Europe during the time. Be like, why the fuck are you eating?
Well,
bread?
no, it's like it's Passover. Well, it's Passover, and like people are eating bread because that's all you can eat in Eastern Europe. That,
and
like,
also like
potatoes.
you know, ascribing the worst possible fear to the other who's easy to make seem evil.
Exactly. So this is like this huge thing. It's been going on for a really long time. And the Maharal's like, King Rudolph, let's stop this. And he's like, I'm taking care of it. Not many people believe it anymore. It's fine. So the Maharal's like, all right, that's dope. And then he leaves and goes back to the Jewish ghetto.
That's just like he couldn't fight for himself. He's like, okay, if you say so. He's like that passive-aggressive intern who, like, you know, can't get the promotion that they want.
Boss who's like, come on, kid, I'll help you out. And you're like, okay, boss. Thanks.
Exactly.
Okay,
it's exactly. Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? You have this king who somehow likes you and doesn't want to murder you exclusively.
Slash, you're an unprotected minority. What are you going to do?
Exactly. And like many stories that you have told on this podcast and all the time, there's an evil sorcerer who lives in the palace.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like literally Aladdin right now, and I'm totally into it.
His name is Thaddeus.
Oh, that's such a good name.
Okay.
He's an evil priest who hates
Either
Jews.
a lawyer or an evil priest who hates Jews.
Exactly, he's an evil priest who hates Jews, and he's also like divine the Christian arts of the dark magic. Didn't know that was a thing.
Christian arts.
Slash sounds like he's appropriating his perception of Jewish traditions for himself.
I don't know, man. He just hates Jews. So it's a good read. That's just like a...
Unfortunately, not uncommon.
Exactly. He's just like one of those guys. So he's the one who's been spreading the blood libel, and he's like really mad about it. So like I can imagine like the Maharal's like leaving, and he like sees Thaddeus in the shadows, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
With his serpent.
His serpent staff. He's basically Jafar. He's basically Jafar.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. So
that's how I'm gonna picture him for the rest of the podcast.
You should.
Turban
He
and
absolutely
all.
will.
Yes.
Yeah. In Eastern Europe, in the Dark Ages.
the
and I'm the other
Christian
Thaddeus
guy.
Yeah.
You look stupid with your turban. So the Maharal's like, you know what? I'm dealing with this myself. Because like the Jews are going to be in danger no matter what. So he goes back to his home and he falls asleep at nighttime.
Like he never falls asleep.
As you do. Because either you get killed or the other thing, he has a divine vision.
Yes!
And the words of the Kabbalah come down and they rearrange themselves and they tell him, you should make a golem. So he's like...
Logical assumption. But why did I think of that before?
Wouldn't a gigantic enforcer, 14th century Hodor be useful?
Hodor.
Of course it would.
Basically. He's basically
Game of Thrones
Hodor.
reference.
Game of
that
Thrones.
season just
Boom.
started.
We're diversifying. Or Hagrid.
He's like, all right. So he gets his son-in-law to come, and he gets his most best student, best student because he's a rabbi. He got students for days, and then it's like it's like the middle of the night, and it's cloudy, and they go down to like the Moldau River, which I assume is also cloudy, and like they just like get a bunch of mud, and they make him into a giant, then they stand there, and they're like, okay, what do we do? And the Maharal's like, all right, so this is the walk around one.
Yes.
Is this story
7 times.
With the carved thing.
No, it's just you just say it. You just say it. So he's like, all right, so you walk around 7 times and you say this. So that happens. And he's like, all right, now you walk around him the other way 7 times.
Yes.
And you say this.
Gotta get that Widdershins compliment.
And it's always 7. It's always that,
7 times 3, right? 3 people doing it 7 times each. That's
exactly.
That's quite mystical.
Exactly. And then he does it one more time.
Yeah.
And then he opens his eyes and in some stories he grows hair. In some stories he has fingers now.
Ooh.
But he's just this naked mud giant who can't say anything.
Also, they didn't think to give him fingers. How is he gonna open doors
Julia,
and shit?
you can only be so deft with your mud sculpting.
Listen,
come on.
If they made him into a giant, you would assume that there's enough depth for them to be.
I don't know. If it's the middle of the night, it's dark. You're sweaty.
It's pre-Renaissance too, so I get it. Everything's flat and terrible. But I guess.
Pre-Renaissance, everything's flat and terrible.
I mean, compare pre-Renaissance stuff to then the sculpture
art-wise?
of art-wise, the sculpture of Daniel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm not
Daniel?
judging. They literally pulled life out of mud.
Yeah.
They have my 2 thumbs up.
Okay, so they have this giant mud dude who can't say anything, and So there are a bunch of different stories about this. Some say that they make him do chores around the Jewish ghetto. He's chopping wood, he's carrying stuff. Because you feel a giant.
Sewers.
Yes, absolutely. He's cleaning gutters and roofs and stuff.
Slash, like, in the absence of city services, probably they were discriminated against, right, by like the crown, and the ghetto wasn't tended as other neighborhoods were.
The city was probably shitty.
Right, you draw up your own municipal service.
Exactly.
I get it.
But the big thing, obviously, when he's not chopping wood, is he's defending
Chopping
the Jewish
heads?
ghetto.
Yes! Woo!
He's defending the ghetto. In the story that I read recently to prepare for this, it's like you defend the Jewish ghetto like it's the apple of your eye, which I did not know was a phrase
that early on.
Exactly.
Yeah, where's that come from?
Good translations.
All right.
I want to know
if you're a patron, you'll get director's commentary in your email, and we will let you know what the origin of apple of our eye is.
Exactly.
Because we don't know right now, but we'll find out for you.
Exactly.
All right, so this guy's hanging out. He's just like walking around. People are gawking at him, and there's a subplot. The B plot of this is that there is Jews were moneylenders because at the time banks didn't exist, and like dealing with money was like looked down upon. So like this guy was lending stuff out. This really rich guy, he lent a Christian butcher, like 5,000 crowns, which is a ton of money.
Sounds like a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and of course, like he won't pay him back. Like he bothers him and bothers him and bothers him, and he's like, I just don't have it.
Also, the butcher as a Christian shouldn't be taking loaned money. Like that's not.
I think they can take it, but they can't loan it.
That's
I think the prohibition was
that's a double
against
standard,
charging interest.
and I don't like it.
I know.
Right. So there's this thing that since he's like the butcher and the slaughterer of pigs, he has to like walk through. The butcher needs to walk through the city with like all of his meat is like the easiest way to get to the market or something.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure. So it turns out that this butcher started the blood libel lie to get out of paying his debt, and like the evil priest Thaddeus was like, that's a great idea, let's talk about that.
Oh shit.
Butcher and Thaddeus? What the fuck are you doing?
Good job. Good job, butcher.
So the butcher is horrible. I'm so glad. This is so nice. You guys are just like, I hate that guy. I hate Jafar. I hate the butcher.
We're the ultimate mythology hype women.
I know.
T-shirt.
I like it. That's perfect. And just like both of you, just like hands in the air.
Gosh.
Hera hype woman should be a t-shirt.
Yeah, slash like as people raised Christian, so sorry.
Our bad.
Our bad.
I'm just enjoying this so much.
Also, like, breaking in for a second, the Golem seems very, like, 400 years before Frankenstein, but Frankenstein
exactly. I was thinking about
me,
that too, yeah.
Which is, like, super cool, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you would hope that a Golem doesn't, like, go on a murderous rampage or anything, like Frankenstein's
right, just like
monster
the idea
does,
of Gollum
but...
being sentient, Gollum acquiring language, like the whole kind of plot twist in Frankenstein is that the creature acquires language.
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, becomes a being before it gets killed, but
yeah.
whatever.
No, it's also a really interesting metaphor for education, right? Like without education and command of language, like you can't, affect any change or be
You don't have a soul, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
I have no research on the education one, but I do have research on Frankenstein.
Yes, called
Points.
it. Points. We should have a point system for this show. Just saying.
All right, I'm down. Let's
true.
institute it.
So cutting over there, I really like this. So Frankenstein, the Hulk is also known as a golem.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though it was like supposedly an accident, we are messing with like nuclear reactors,
gamma rays,
and like they
Yes.
are trying to do something, and you're creating this thing.
And
in
like,
the
does
Hulk.
he have a soul question mark? That's like a thing.
Yes.
Exactly. Is he just like
can't
an
die
extension?
from
Language.
natural means.
And
Yeah.
he can't speak in real
Right, doesn't have
sentences.
language. Yeah.
Hulk smash is basically the only thing he can
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man.
The other thing, which is actually really cool about the Golem, is that he's the inspiration for robots. So the word robot actually comes from two Czech brothers, Joseph and Karel Capek, who
They
were
wrote a
living
play
in
about
Prague.
it, right? Or something?
Yes.
I remember this.
It's called like RUR, and it's about like the first robot, like creating something sentient out of metal.
It's so amazing.
And it's literally, that's where the word robot comes from, this play and this story, and it's from Prague. So it's literally from exactly the same place.
Prague.
Gollum, the OG robot.
Yes.
That's also, fun fact, the word glitch is from Yiddish as well. So that might
That
be
is
why
so
where it comes.
cool.
That might be where it comes from. I just thought of that, but I don't have research.
In Yiddish. Same thing.
That's the word. Is
Yeah.
glit. It's like it got pulled to English. It's really just like a small thing that messes thing up. But like I assume I haven't read that play, but I assume since robots are involved that the robot goes and kills people because there was a glitch in the system.
That's so fantastic.
Thank you, Yiddish.
I love it.
Thank you.
God bless Yiddish.
Okay, so there's a lot of other stuff that's happening at the same time. So like the butcher, there's that B plot.
Yes.
There's another thing where the golem is like supposedly falls in love with the rabbi's daughter. I don't know
cool.
about that one. I don't know. There's another one where
Sounds like a Renaissance insertion in
Yeah.
Exactly.
They were
Renaissance
like,
lore.
we want to write something that Shakespeare wouldn't write. God who falls in love with a woman.
Off-brand Shakespeare, like off-brand,
Comma tragedy.
like off-brand Captain Crunch,
Yes.
like Captain, whatever, Chew.
That totally
Like
is the name.
slightly like
Sure.
the original thing, but not
It's
quite
Lieutenant
copyright
Chew, then.
infringement.
it's Admiral Chew to you. Rear Admiral Chew.
Oh,
That's horrible.
Sounds like a brand of tobacco.
That sounds like a
Ew, yeah.
rejected West Wing character.
It does.
Rear Admiral Chew. He's not allowed to go in the walk and talk because he can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But
Love it. So what else does this golem get up to?
right. So the golem gets up to that. The other thing is that, like, as most things that you create, there's some like glitches in the system. So like
Yeah.
you need to turn off the golem before sundown on Friday on Shabbat
Yeah.
because it's a Jewish golem.
Yeah.
So like he supposedly
He can't
freaks
work.
out. Yeah, he freaks
Yeah,
out if
he
he's
has
still
light.
alive.
Right, yeah.
So like he's like pulling out trees. It's like it's sundown on Friday, and he's like losing his mind. And you have to like this is the head one when you have the thing on the head. So like you can literally just like try to erase it, or you like pull the because it's a lot harder to like walk around
Of
a
course,
raging
yeah.
monster, or you can like pull the thing.
Unless
off
it's a
of
very
them.
wide circle.
Yeah, you're just like running around the entire
Like,
city.
Jesus Christ, just stand still.
Yeah, and you have to do it 7
Not Jesus
times.
Christ.
Not Jesus Christ, my bad.
No. Definitely wrong. Definitely wrong.
Damn, Abraham, stand still.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That
don't
rhymes too.
That was close.
Is there equivalent to like Jesus fucking Christ in Yiddish or Jewish tradition?
No.
Just like, well, Yiddish is really funny because
I mean, you don't take God's name in vain. Like that shit is serious.
yes, but Yiddish is crazy because it's really just like stacking German words so that you're swearing at non-Jews.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yiddish is just like all about like putting curses on people, telling them that they're horrible, that their body parts are gonna explode, that like
Ooh,
they should
fun.
they should stop bothering you and leave you alone.
Or your
Yiddish
body
is
parts
so
will
like all of Yiddish. Like
Yeah.
you don't need specific phrases. It's just like all of Yiddish.
Yeah,
All of
that's
Yiddish.
just like the default mode.
Exactly. It's like someone just like took German and was just like, I hate you,
Let's
I
make
hate
it
you,
saucier.
I hate you, you're cool, I hate you. That's just like that's Yiddish.
Amazing.
So
Schmear.
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're eating stuff, but the thing you're eating isn't great, so you gotta fetch about it, all
Yeah.
that.
Amazing.
So okay, so we got all these B plots, right?
Yes.
So the butcher is finally like spreading all these rumors and he's gonna do something to get out of his money. So because
He's
you know
a
if the
greedy
Jews
bastard.
are yeah, and
Fuck
if
the
the Jews
butcher.
are dead, you don't have to pay back your debts.
I guess that's true.
I also picture the butcher as Danny DeVito. I don't know why.
That's
I was
fair.
picturing Mario Batali.
Way better. Way better. Can we do a cross between those two for the butcher?
I guess it would just be
Like-
slightly shorter and less pink than Mario
I was gonna
Batali.
say
And in
Danny
Crocs.
DeVito, but with a blonde ponytail.
That's fine. Good
Alright.
/ terrible.
So the butcher is in his Crocs for these Eastern
Great.
European Crocs.
Great.
And he's like
Clogs. I mean, not
just,
far
they're
off.
literally just,
Not far
they're
off.
literally just orange
No.
clogs. Just orange clogs.
Got it.
So of course we're in the gross part as a climax is gonna give you.
Of the myth
Yep.
or of the city?
Of the myth. We're in
Okay.
the climax.
Probably
This is
both.
all happening.
Okay.
So the butcher is like, all right, I'm gonna hit this on the head. It's around Passover time, so
Yeah.
the Jews are making matzah. Everyone's scared. Let's do it.
Right. This dumb baby story I made up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So it turns out one of his friends had a child, a daughter,
Okay.
and the daughter had died a few days earlier.
I thought you were gonna say he steals the baby, kills it, and then
Well, this is not much
Slightly
better.
less terrible.
Yes.
So it's
He
buried.
exploits the death of a child.
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's still pretty terrible.
He literally he exhumes the grave.
oh,
There it is, which is worse.
dude, no.
And then he takes a pig carcass,
No.
he pulls out the guts, puts the baby in it,
Please
puts the
don't.
guts back on top of it, and like while he's on his like butcher run, drops the pig in the ghetto, and then like runs away.
Why? Why,
It's a
Danny
fucked
DeVito?
up
Why?
Turducken.
It's a turducken of shame. of horror because, like, well, the pig's not kosher. There's a baby in it, and the Jews are like, if someone sees this here,
God.
we are literally everyone's gonna die. We're literally just dead.
I'm sure the baby isn't kosher either. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
So what do they do?
So they're all freaking out, and then someone like
Is
looks.
this Shabbat still? Or
No,
we're
it's Passover now.
Okay.
So everyone's just like running around freaking out, and like someone turns to the left and was like, "Hey, who's that guy tied up on the tree? It's the butcher. Here's what happened."
The golem got the butcher!
Exactly.
What?
So they were like, "Hey, who's that Christian guy tied up on the tree?" The golem, who was thinking to himself, like, that seems creepy. He like grabs him, roughs him up a little bit, ties him up, puts him on the tree, and then runs away.
Smart.
The golem's just like, I don't want to stick around. Bye, and runs away.
Did what I had to do.
And then, so they bring the butcher to King Rudolph, and they're like, this guy did a gross thing.
Yeah.
And King Rudolph's like, okay, we're done with the blood libel.
This
no
guy
more.
did a gross
we're done.
and possibly illegal thing? Maybe?
Definitely
Dug
illegal.
up a baby?
Certainly unethical.
Definitely illegal. And the king's like, okay, we're done with the blood libel. No more. Thaddeus, get out of here. And he's like, no.
Fuck it, Jafar!
And then Jafar's like, no. And so...
The sand dune collapses.
Exactly. On top of him. And they're like, where did we get the sand in
Turns
Prague?
into a genie and then gets sucked into the lamp.
All right, so we're in the conclusion now.
All
So
right.
like everything's pretty cool in Prague for
job, Gollum.
for a second.
For a hot sec.
You don't need the Golem anymore because he might be in love with a human daughter. He
Dangerous.
might be super dangerous. Exactly.
Right.
So they tell the Golem.
GTFOH.
They're much nicer about it, actually.
Thank you, Gollum, for your service.
Exactly. They go to the attic of a synagogue.
Okay.
And they're like, Gollum, lay down. And he lays down. And it's like, all right, go to sleep. Just chill out. You're fine. And the Golem's like, okay.
And then
he
they
goes
kill
to bed.
Oh.
No, well, not exactly. They reverse the thing.
Yes,
They're
so
like,
now he's dead.
tell him to go. It's more of like
But it's
going
like-
to sleep, like
Yeah,
eternal
they're
sleep.
they're like mythically unmaking him.
Yeah.
How would you feel about being unmade,
I'd
Amanda?
rather be unmade than murdered by a freaking libelous Christian butcher.
It's true.
Or Jafar.
Or Jafar.
Fucking Jafar.
Or the pogroms.
None of those seem good.
Exactly. It's all pretty bad. So they do the thing, and like I imagine there's like a swell of like orchestra music, and
like
like
a
they're really
wind,
sad.
yeah.
The awesome thing is like most stories is that the Golem is just like asleep and like underneath like all of these like prayer shawls and like books in this attic in Prague somewhere.
Still there.
And he's still there.
A sleeper cell.
Have we like gone to all the synagogues and tried to track down the golem? Because I feel like that should be a thing.
Well, it's just like there's this other trope in Jewish literature which you might know from Michael Chabon who in The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, in like some other short stories or some other stuff, and even in the X-Files, which was inspired by this, is that like if the Jews ever need him again, they can go there, but then it becomes like a whole Holocaust thing, is like could have they gotten that when all that stuff, because that's the other time when like all of Eastern Europe was messed
The
up.
Butcher, Prague, and shit like that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
the
would've
blood
been the
libel
perfect
came
time
up
for
with
it.
all the
Right,
all the
right.
propaganda as well.
Also, that's very like Batman, like, when we need him, he will come.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's there for us. Yeah, and like out of the firmament that God gave us,
Yes.
right? Like we can draw on its strength to give us like a soldier in our time of need. I think that's very metaphorically
cool shit.
resonant.
Exactly. So there's a lot of stuff that comes out of this, and like it's pretty cool that like the idea of creation is like pulling directly from this idea of creating like another thing is pulling it directly from the creation myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, and that's my story about a large monster who saved the Jews.
Yeah.
Cool. Blood libel, not a thing.
Definitely not a
Interest,
thing.
Still kind of morally ambiguous. Hagrid and Hodor, lovely golems.
It's good. So is there like a rating system for like your guests?
No.
You can start one now.
That's good. All right, I would give myself for a drunkenness definitely a solid 4 because
Okay.
it's salty in my mouth.
Yep.
But For the horrors scale, I would give myself a solid 7. The
Yes.
golem didn't murder anybody, but there was a desecrated baby corpse.
Yes. 7 out of 10 dead. What? 7 out of 10 dead babies?
7 out of 10 dead babies, exactly.
I think
it's a good scale.
a solid 6 on the kind of creepy, kind of cool scale.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
That is our go-to
I'd give
scale.
it an 8 out of 10 on metaphorical resonance.
Nice.
That's fair. And there were no women in this one, so I'm going to give it a 0 on the Bechdel test.
That's
Exactly.
okay.
That's fine.
That's okay.
That's a good scale.
Yes. I like it. I like it.
We ourselves did pass the Bechdel test, though, so that's plus.
Right, just our people in the room.
Just our being here.
That's
Yes.
fair. Unless you were mentally objectifying the golem at the entire time.
I was.
No women got objectified in the making of this podcast.
Only the golem.
No monsters were objectified.
Is he does he wear clothes?
Oh yeah, he's totally naked the entire time.
Yeah.
So like, there's a whole thing about putting clothes on.
Is there like
Dude running around there?
Hold on. Is there like a Ken doll bulge, or is there like a golem schlong?
Well, I mean, they had a story where they specifically had to make him fingers, so I assumed the dick came in with the fingers.
Maybe that's what they were doing instead of making the fingers.
They were like oddly specific about that. Be like, make sure he doesn't have a foreskin.
Or like, we only have it does or doesn't?
Doesn't.
Doesn't.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that there was no golem schlong
Oh man.
because something tells me that 3 devout, like rabbinic, like
Students,
the
yeah.
best rabbi in all of Prague, his best student, and the rabbi's like son-in-law, they're not going to be concerned about having like a real
focused on like the
peen.
survival of their community.
Exactly, and they're like, I don't want to put a peen on this. I just care about the mud.
Okay.
I think a good dick is a mitzvah, so
Oh no.
I just had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. And we're done.
Spirits was created by Julia Shafini and me, Amanda McLaughlin. It's edited by Eric Schneider with music by Kevin MacLeod and visual design by Allison Wakeman.
Subscribe to Spirits on your preferred podcast app to make sure you never miss an episode. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr at Spirits Podcast.
On our Patreon page, patreon.com/spiritspodcast, you can sign up for exclusive content like behind-the-scenes photos, audio extras, director's commentary, blooper reels, and beautiful recipe cards with custom drink and snack pairings.
If you like the show, please share with your friends and leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help.
Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.